Hello and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast covering my all-time favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander.
And I'm your co-host, Courtney Autumn.
Together, we've been journeying through Buffy the Vampire Slayer, patrolling the streets of Sunnydale, but now our path expands beyond the Hellmouth as we continue to follow Buffy's battles and growth.
We also step into the shadowy streets of Los Angeles to join Angel on his quest for redemption and his fight to discover what it truly means to be a champion.
Venture with us through every episode in order as we experience the story from two perspectives, Courtney's first time watch and my seasoned rewatch, doubling down on the themes and moments that shape the Buffyverse.
We'll examine pivotal choices, major story arcs, and explore the deeper layers of each show's continued character growth and development.
All while engaging in conversations and sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, ready your swords,
and continue to stand with us against the forces of darkness as we journey through the supernatural worlds of Buffy the Vampire Slayer
and Angel.
Let's get into this episode. Hey everybody, welcome to this 2 episode in a row sad moments with Revamped is how I'm going to say that this time around. We are back today to discuss Angel Season 1, Episode 9.
Hero. Should I say it better? Hero.
This episode aired on November 30th, 1999. It was written by Tim Minear and Howard Gordon and directed by Tucker Gatt. Gat. Doyle got Gat. Gat. Patty Bat. I don't know. Here we are. We were talking about this before we came in. But in this episode, after Doyle receives a vision involving a group of hunted demon refugees, Angel Investigations gets pulled into a dangerous conflict with a ruthless enemy. As the team races to help the refugees escape, Doyle is forced to confront parts of himself and his past that he spent years avoiding. And makes the ultimate sacrifice. I don't have that part in there, but, there it is. Guest stars are pretty much some bullshit people that we don't care about, but you know what? We'll go through them because we got the time. Tony Denman is Rife. I didn't really listen to how they said that kid's name, but I'm going to say Rife all episode because it's Rieff. So, Rife. I wouldn't imagine it's Reef. He's not a coral, so he's not in the ocean. Yeah. He's on land. Well, he's about to be on the ocean when he sails away on that ship. Anthony Cestaro is Trask. Michelle Horn portrays Raina. Lee Arenberg is Tiernan. And Sean Gunn is Lucas. I've never seen them in anything else. I'm just telling these people in case they want to know. Like, they probably don't. So we're going to move along. Opening thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, mate. My first question, and then you can lead into your thoughts on the episode, is what do you think of us losing Doyle this episode? And before you fully answer, I'm going to tell everybody that you texted me whenever we were finalizing times to come in today. You had just watched this episode, a couple hours ago, and you messaged me and you're like, I'll kill you for not giving me the slightest clue and indication that Doyle would be parting ways forever with us through death. And I was like, whoops. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I get it. It is a spoiler, a big one. But, I mean, like I said, you could have been like, hey, something really sad and terrible happens. That's unexpected. I don't know, something. But, yeah, I didn't see that coming. So that made things even more sad than the circumstances already did, in my opinion. But, yeah, I feel really sad about losing Doyle. I feel like he was such a good energy to have in the midst of Angel and Cordy, and obviously we see this episode that him and Cordelia have a little moment that's kind of overdue, a
couple of them
in a way. And yeah, exactly. And so I think it's just like it always goes, just when you start to relax a little bit into a space of being hopeful that things are going to be normal or less eventful for even a day, then something tragic happens. And in this case, it was Doyle. So that's really sad. And I definitely cried. I told Brandon that he should have gotten a reacts video for this one because I was like, I cried more this time than I did in whatever I think you recorded for.
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
time I
You Slayer it
yeah.
predicted. You were like, "Does someone die?" I don't know why you said that, like, but I mean, I don't remember if I breadcrumbed you or what exactly I did. And I was like, I can't tell you that. And obviously, you see why I couldn't tell you that because you're like, I don't mean like a main cast member. I just mean like it's giving something. Blah blah blah. I don't really remember what you said, but I was like, crap.
I wish I'd been wrong.
And I think I kind of like say something along the way in that it's not given the same kind of pivotal hit the same way that Jenny Callender's death happened for us because we spent a lot more time with her. There was more at stake for her. She had developed this relationship with Giles and all this other stuff just to put her as a comparison as to like shock value for somebody dying on a series. Because a lot of times when we meet characters, we just get back lore. They're there for maybe 1, 2, 3 episodes sometimes, and then they kind of disappear in that way, or they're that same episode killed, whatever the case. But it was pretty pivotal for them to kill a main cast member in this show. Yeah.
In the first season? That's crazy. Yeah. I feel like we're just getting to really know him, like we just left off that episode where about his wife or his ex-wife, well, his wife. But, we were just like getting all this insight kind of into who he is and was before getting into the space we're in now in present day with him being on the show. So I just feel like it's kind of unfair because I really started to grow so fond of him. And I feel like obviously I don't know what happens from here, but it just feels like there's going to be this like space that's only going to be able to be filled with that kind of a character, you know what I mean? Or like that, giving that kind of energy, because it just kept things so balanced between the three of them, which is already such a hard dynamic to have when there's an odd number, and they all have their different personalities, which is like such a roll of the dice when you're like working together, you're also friends. There's just a lot going on in those dynamics that usually they don't always work out, and people butt heads oftentimes. So for them to be so opposite natured but work so well together, it's going to take a certain kind of like energy to create that balance again, in my opinion.
I agree.
So he'll be missed.
I'll set you up for some good stuff. Like, obviously, there's always going to be new introductions to characters on the series as we go through all the things, just as that's always kind of happened with Buffy. We get that kind of an Anya this season over on season 4 more. She was introduced in the past, but now she's becoming more recurring role. Spike's made his entry back into the series, as we've talked about over there and stuff too, so we get to see a little bit more of him. And you kind of got to replace his characters, like, when Oz leaves or these other people, like you can expect, just like in life, whenever one door closes, another one opens. If you want to get super cliche with that, you can always expect like the invitation for something new whenever you close a chapter on something. What did you think about like the plot that was going on in the episode and stuff, like with our demons and like what they were kind of standing for? Obviously I have a lot to go through and stuff myself, but just like the stakes that were kind of like what was occurring in the episode.
I mean, it's hard not to kind of think about moments around history and stuff like that where something similar has happened. Like the first thing, especially me being half German, that comes to mind is the Nazi movement. So yeah, it was giving a lot of that kind of very extreme, there can only be this kind of way, and I hate stuff like that because I don't agree ever with such a, I don't know, confined way of thinking, and then especially acting on it the way that they do. So it's interesting because I don't think we've ever really dealt with something quite this extreme, like as a collective group coming after one specific type of demon. And I don't know, it's a lot to unpack, but yeah, it made me feel even worse for Doyle and obviously all the other characters we meet on the episode that are very vulnerable to the situation. It just makes me feel like super bad for them. And I honestly didn't know where it was going to go, because when they find these more vulnerable demons, I was like, what's going on? Like, is this a setup? Is this a trap? Are they going to attack them? I didn't really know where it was going, but it was an interesting concept, but it was really intense, especially the way that we see it ended, because it was so, it was a great like risk to take. And it was like the last person in the whole entire episode you want to see take it. So other than like maybe Angel or Cordelia.
I think that's important, I guess, to note too, the introduction of like demons that can be good. Over on Buffy, we've kind of seen demons that are more in the gray space versus black or white, and we'll see that as we go along both series. But I think this is a welcome introduction to saying that like there are actual demons out there, just like Doyle. I mean, he was half demon, he was obviously half human, half demon. That's a little bit different, like these other people were as well. But some demons can have a soul, not just like Angel in his situation and stuff, but they can just be a different breed in that case. And that's to say, like, whenever we go forward on the series and stuff, you can like expect to kind of see some do-gooders out there. Like, you know, I think back to like Buffy, whenever the dude that was selling the books of Ascension to her and Faith are trying to like do that. And he was kind of like just a measly little kind of I keep to myself kind of demon vampire guy. He's probably not harming people. He's over here trying to sell some demonic books for some cash to get out of town. Like he could have killed somebody and like stolen money from them or done things or, you know, been on that kind of pursuit. And it just lets us know that that's not always the thing. It's not always just black when it comes to these demons and stuff, or the villains and things we typically would see on the show. But you think demon and you think bad. So, but I mean, but it's awesome because it kind of compares in the way we see Doyle. We see people like Angel, and I know Angel's circumstance is different, but just like some of the other stuff, like I said, in that way. But yeah, I think that for the episode in general to be Doyle's last, and that's me to tell you, like I tell you every single time, like Sheila from fucking School Hard, like this bitch does not come back. Like speaking to her, I'm not going to call Doyle a bitch. He doesn't come back on the series. He's dead. And we'll get into a little bit more stuff about that. But I like that they framed the whole episode to really put him in the spotlight, not just in the light to kill him at the end, but they really give him his time to really go through the episode. I mean, we see Angel throughout it, we see Cordelia throughout it, but it's almost like Doyle's at the forefront and they're kind of the like second ups to him, whereas we usually see Angel and then Doyle and Cordelia are running underneath him and whatever else we're dealing with. So I think on like rewatches for myself, like I haven't spent much time revisiting this one on watch throughs, except on watch throughs, I guess I could say in that way, because it didn't stand out to me as much back then. But I appreciate it because it, of course, is the close to Doyle's arc. And I always remember being stunned, just like you were, at how it ended. I didn't know where everything was going when I watched it my first time. I in no way thought Angel was actually going to sacrifice himself whenever like it came to the end, because then there would be no show. So, you know, like you're thinking like maybe something else is going to happen. Maybe when these little demon kids are going to hop up there and throw the thing down, or like there's something else to go about it, like
you just
or all the demons, like Angel and them get out there and these demons die and they didn't get to save them or something. You think that might be the option?
Yeah.
But either way, like the fact that, like I said, Doyle becomes the stand-in essentially for that, and it's so shocking, and it has a big emotional me. Like the subsequent rewatches that I've done, like this is the first time that I feel like because of the podcast, I got to like grow a little bit more attached to the character, kind of through the enjoyment of watching you like Doyle, like really paying him attention this time around, because I already know that he's going to die. I know he doesn't come back, and then I get used to whatever else happens on the show. So it's like easily out of sight, out of mind in that way. But I feel like I got attached to him a little bit more this time around. I really enjoyed him a lot more. So like his departure hits a little different this time around. And I think, in my opinion, it's a good send off for the character and what we've learned and seen of him thus far on this show. And I kind of can't help but feeling complete for Doyle and proud of him for his choice to make amends for his past, to connect himself and make the decision to be a hero, because he was so influenced by Angel, like throughout everything that we've seen, especially like since the bachelor party. We've seen the last few episodes, he's been an influence with him. And I think it really shows here. Like the whole episode, he stepped up a notch and carries what he's learned into his decision making with this episode and how he operates. That being said, went on to a couple of my review sites, as I typically do, and Critically Touched said this about Doyle in this scene and like the demons and things like that. It says, the time comes when the Scourge have lowered the device in place to wipe out the Lister demons, and Angel realizes what the right thing to do is, but then Doyle does it for him. This was really a good shock for the first time I saw the episode. I didn't think they planned to kill a main character so fast, and is all the more powerful because it was something Doyle didn't have to do. Angel would have thrown himself on the device gladly, saved the demons, and all would have made sense, but Doyle had seen Angel's immense ability to sacrifice, live, fight, and do great good. As he tells Rife, I don't know anything about your people's myths and legends, but I do know Angel, and he's the genuine article. He'd fought alongside the soulful vampire for an estimated few months, and particularly after about hearing Angel give up off his perfect day with Buffy for the greater good, was in awe of his friend's capacity for self-sacrifice. It was because of these well-placed, connected, and logical events that Doyle's actions were perfectly rational and therefore deeply moving. Doyle died so Angel could keep fighting. End quote. that he said. I feel like that's something that makes this moment great and something that shows this show specifically, and along with Buffy, does best. I like a bait and switch in any show, honestly, in that way. Whenever we like lose a character that we didn't expect to lose, like I know I mentioned Jenny a little bit ago over on Buffy. I just feel like it carries a similar shock value and unexpectedness. I am, however, bummed that this time around at the fact that we will never get to see what could have been between him and Cordelia. And if anything, I'm kind of happy for what influence he had on our girl and how her mindset shifted due to knowing him, and how it will continue to change having known him in general. To mention as a good lead into my next bit, the Scourge are fucking gross. Like, because I asked you, like, I am not about someone thinking that they are better than someone else. Like, that's just never my stance on anything in life, whether it's a group or individual. Like, nah, we ain't got to compete for shit. And you never are going to say that I'm less than you, or you're more than me, or I'm more than you. And the flip side of everything. Like, I couldn't also help but think about like Malfoy from Harry Potter and his dad, Lucius, and how they would have 100% been up in this clan, which I thought was funny because when I read like some of Shangel's walkthrough on their review, he mentioned the Scourge were like Death Eaters without wands. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, they had the same mindset. And I was like, well, I mean, it makes sense because I mean, you think about Harry Potter, Malfoy starts calling Hermione a filthy little mudblood and calling her a half-breed because her parents were normal and she's a witch. Like, they were mortal humans and whatever, like non-magical beings and all this other stuff. I bring all that stuff up about the Scourge in that way in comparison-wise, because whenever I went to the Buffyverse wiki, which is where I, get like the date and the info that I need to do the Buffy fun facts, things like that, before it gave its synopsis in that, it said racism in the demon world. And I was like, oh shit, that makes sense. I was like, 100%. So this is like kind of a precursor to my, like the early version of my themes and metaphor section that we'll obviously do later. But the episode is using the demon world to explore the same kinds of prejudice we've seen throughout human history. Racism is probably the most obvious comparison, but you could also extend that into like xenophobia, ethnic cleansing, segregation, or really any system where one group decides another group is less worthy because of how they were born. The Scourge aren't just bad demons hunting good demons. The episode goes out of its way to make the distinction that they're targeting mixed-blooded demons specifically, and their entire ideology is built around blood purity. They believe anyone who isn't pure is inferior, contaminated, and should be exterminated. So that's our main like premise of what we're going through. So it hits those notes of basically what racism is all about. And like, again, people thinking they're better, or like the other ones are so less than that they don't even need to exist within this world, which is what you touch base. It gave you the mindset of like what happened with Hitler and everything like that, just coming from your background and things like that. Giles also has explained like one little thing that I saw a bunch of people commenting on, and I'm not going to spend too much time focusing on it, but I thought it was interesting because over on Buffy, whenever we were in season 1, he explained that no pure demon exists on Earth anymore. A few people have achieved ascension and become a pure demon, such as like the mayor, but they are few and far between. Excluding those exceptions, the last pure demons disappeared from Earth when the old ones were driven out. And then the person that wrote this thing was like, wouldn't that mean the Scourge are less than pure themselves? Like, I can see a way around this problem just because the Scourge claim to be pure, but it doesn't make them pure just because they claim it to be so. So these people are like, that's why another reason I found myself really not enjoying them, because I'm like, y'all like pot calling kettle right here, because y'all are basically, y'all aren't pure demon at all either. So who's to say, like, just because you think you're better than somebody else, or because y'all happen to have like natural blood running through you and stuff like that, that you have this like upper hand on, or you deserve more than others, or to live or to exist, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, what a dumbass mission to have. I mean, cults do this all the time. They have these warped ass fucking version of what reality is supposed to be, or what their world they're living in and shit. And I'm just like, I cannot get on board with it. So I think that's why I kind of brought up that like agree. In that way. Cause this one, like, I think Critically Touched, he went on for like 3 paragraphs talking about this like kind of continuity error within the universe, saying like if pure demons don't exist on the world, then they're some form of not pure themselves anyway. So like, what is this episode trying to do and say type thing? And I was like, I'm not trying to look that deeply into it, you know? I feel like also, like, just to, like I said, precursor to some of the themes and metaphor, I feel like there's also like the coming out element to it as well. Doyle hides behind like being half a demon and has that also from Cordelia. He fears rejection, being viewed differently, and people only seeing that part of him. And then when Cordelia finally learns the truth about him, her reaction is essentially, oh, that's what you've been worried about, which is pretty common storytelling narratives about hidden identity. A lot of times that's how it works for us in real life. Whenever we come out to someone, it's not always the case, but sometimes people are like, oh, I already knew, like, especially if you're coming out as like gay or something like that, queer coded, and you like tell somebody and they're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I totally knew you were gay. Obviously parents sometimes tend to have issues around that, especially ones from the past, and everyone, there's a select amount of people out there that can fully resonate with that. But some people have the positive side of that. So remember, they, get to come out and people are just like, oh, that's whatever. Like, we can move on. Like, this doesn't have to be a big thing.
That's how my grandma was when I told her. She was like, girl, I have known this information since you were 6 years old. You ain't telling me nothing new.
Yeah. Some information that I kind of have for you. And for anybody that doesn't possibly know this, maybe tuning into the show for the first time. So Glenn Quinn, the actor who plays Doyle, was written out of Angel because he was struggling with a severe heroin addiction, which led to on-set difficulties, missed work, and ultimately his departure from the show. So this was a big reason why he left. Joss Whedon had occasionally stated in interviews that Doyle was always intended to be a short-term character whose sacrifice was planned from the beginning. Multiple producers and production insiders have confirmed that Quinn's personal struggles created a difficult working environment, as I said, that kind of made it impossible for him to stay on the series longer than he was. So maybe they like brought this to the forefront a little quicker than they initially planned out. Maybe he was supposed to die in the season finale or somewhere in season 2 or 10 episodes from now or something. You know what I mean? I don't have a projection. I don't know those numbers, but it was supposed to be different maybe. But obviously, I mean, if you're addicted to heroin or any kind of substance abuser in general, and you're not showing up to work and doing your job, you're not dependable. So they have to figure out what to do because they have to make a decision that's best for the whole. Because if everyone else is showing up and doing what they're supposed to, then that's that. And I think he struggled with that for a long time. I think he had issues with that on Roseanne. And I think they even kind of worked some of that stuff similar into his storyline over there on that show. I think when they did the Roseanne spinoff series, like that was, in the 2016, 17s or whatever times they brought the Connors back or whatever it was, I think that they had talked about Mark had died. I don't know if it was from overdose or he had just passed away and things like that. That to be said, tragically, about 3 years after his exit from the show, Quinn died of an overdose on December 3rd, 2002. So he actually has passed away in life now. Despite the behind-the-scenes complications, his character made a massive lasting impact on the Buffyverse, though, and Quinn's fellow cast members have always spoken very highly of his talent and close friendship. Like David pretty much posts about him almost every year, or like, he spent some time. I've seen multiple posts over the years that David's like, I miss you, brother, or like, today's your birthday, or like if something Angel related anniversary comes up, he'll post a picture of like him, Doyle, and Cordelia or something like that. And Charisma Carpenter, I found a quote where she said, all I know is that I am sad, talking about him leaving. She's like, I was very sad to see Glenn go. Personally, there was a kinship. There is a friendship that forms when you work that many hours with someone. He was very charismatic and jolly and just an all-around fun person to be with. So I love that for people that he had that impression, even though he was going through a struggle. And, to relate, my sister, like up until the end of her stuff, she was not the most pleasant to be around in those atmospheres. And she was still like tolerable to be around. Like I could be around her. Like I just couldn't live with her at that time. But the years before that, like I don't have anything negative to really say about Tiffany now. You know what I mean? I'm still going to talk about her in high regard. And I have way more outweighing awesome, amazing memories with her than I do that one year that like I was really a part of her struggle or along that journey with her or witnessing it, however you want to put that, until her demise. So it is kind of unfortunate, but it's another test to like, honestly, I mean, and this was many, many years later, but that is the one drug that tends to always take people out. And I'm just kind of sad for those people that have that situation and stuff like that. So.
It's true. Yeah. Well, and it's shocking to learn that because it doesn't seem like he would be going through something like that. It doesn't seem very obvious anyway. You would think it would be a little bit more obvious, or like he wouldn't be able to
act,
do what he's doing. Like how do you show up to work and remember your lines and all these things, and it just seems like a lot. So I wonder like what his potential could have been if that was never the case for him. You know what I mean? Because it seems like he was such a good actor to start with.
Which is also a testament to those people that function really well when that goes down. Like I said, my sister, she was still working. She was a chef and a pastry chef at that. And she worked at like multiple places. She would like kind of hop from job to job sometimes, and sometimes because of opportunity and sometimes just because she would like maybe miss work or something like that. She would just easily go get another job or something. But she always seemed to be functioning. She'd wake up on time. She wasn't overly lethargic. She was pretty active in life. life, you know what I mean, up until like the very end, from what I know. So I mean, I guess people are just really good at functioning sometimes around that, and sometimes just like, you know, when we smoke weed, something so simple, we go about our day to day. We don't get slumped in onto the bed or appear to be stoned.
That's true. And then you talk to other people that are like, oh, when I smoke weed, I'm,
Yeah.
laid out for the rest of the day,
Or
or
they
I
literally
can't
say, I
tolerate
can't
it, or they
function.
just
Like,
couldn't
I can't do that. I
fathom.
have to be at home and like watching TV on the couch, or
Yeah, or they're like instantly like so paranoid that
yeah,
they
have the
can't, like they
experience and
just
stuff
can't
like
do
that. So
shit.
yeah. Otherwise, like, just to kind of seal out all my stuff, like I think I really do enjoy the episode. I think any other future rewatch that I get to, it'll just hit a little bit different, like doing it. And like I said, this time it definitely hit a little bit different because we're doing it for the podcast. So definitely can talk about that more as we go along, which we will do right now. The episode opens at Angel Investigations with Cordelia determined to solve the agency's money problems through the magic of advertising. In her mind, she's creating a dramatic television commercial that will have clients kicking down the door as we see it playing out on the screen. She narrates.
Okay, we fade up on an aerial shot. Downtown, skyscrapers, lights, yada, yada, yada. We hear a narrator, preferably famous. Maybe that bald Star Trek guy or one of the cheaper bald ones. And he says, it's a big, bad city out there. Cut to a woman walking down a dark, spooky street, alone. We'll cast some beautiful, young actress. Maybe an up-and-coming starlet whose career's on the verge of taking off. Anyway, she's all nervous, right? Mucho vulnerable. The voice guy says, danger lurks around every corner. Boom! She's attacked by a big, ugly goon with a knife. She screams, help! Is there no one to help me? Well, now there's someone who will answer your call. He'll protect you. Catch you when you fall. You can count on it.
And you can count on me, because I'm the Dark Avenger.
I love the whole thing. Like, of course, this bitch is going to put herself in the spotlight. I'm like, okay, Cordelia, you need to stop. But she's narrating, and obviously it all goes to say that like the ad is featuring that frightened woman walking alone at night, danger lurking around every corner, and then she gets attacked. Angel swoops in to save her as the mysterious superhero known as the Dark Avenger. Angel himself is considerably less enthusiastic at the idea. After listening to Cordelia's pitch, he simply just asked, I'm the what? And I like how that's what cuts us out of like the reality that of the image that we're seeing, the video footage or whatever that Cordelia's cooked up as the perfect thing. Cordelia proudly repeats the title while Angel looks completely unconvinced, and the entire thing quickly falls apart as Angel decides he'd rather be anywhere else and heads downstairs, leaving Cordelia complaining that ever since Buffy came through Los Angeles, he's been trapped in one endless brooding cycle. Doyle remains behind while Cordelia continues venting about the state of Angel Investigations, and he points out a few practical concerns with advertising a vampire detective, namely the fact that Angel can't exactly be seen during the day, and they technically don't have one of those pesky investigators' licenses. Cordelia decides Angel isn't the right face for the commercial anyway, and what they need is someone more normal, someone people can relate to. Unfortunately for Doyle, that means he's volunteered. She snarks, this will help them drum up some evils, so he needs to get on board, and he retorts under his breath, he doesn't know what they need all that for whenever they've got that right here. Her acknowledging that she heard what he said, because, you know, he was talking about her. As we fade to black and cue the Angel theme. Doyle's gonna die today.
Why?
This is facts. I came here to spit facts. Like this is what we're here to talk about. It's part of the apps.
You came here to sing facts.
Apparently, I missed my calling as a singer. Became a podcaster, so I just talk. Back in the episode before Doyle can truly object to Cordelia, we come back to find Cordelia has him standing in front of the camera reading cue cards. The commercial is a disaster from the start, and Doyle proudly informs viewers to look no further. That Angel Investigations, it's the best. Our rats are low. Cordelia clarifies quickly. Rates are low. Because this isn't Angel's commercial anymore, so no rats are involved. I put in my notes. Which, obviously, every time we have rats, I got to call it out. Because, you know, he likes to eat those. Doyle points out the cue card literally says rats, though. And then, like, I love that because you look at the she's got this old camcorder like filming him, and they took like, what do they call, like manila folders, and they've pasted it up on like the wall back there or like the windows, and he's like, they were written in really large writing and stuff, and he's like reading one to the other. I was like, oh my god, you guys, like, could he not like have rehearsed this a little bit? But I get it because he's looking off the camera. I mean, it's kind of how you would do like on a monitor, but this is their like stand-in monitor. Angel's gonna be like, now I've just paid $1.25 for that whole pack of manila folders, now we got to go out and buy some more. And I'm like, all right, great. He closes the video speaking to how the viewers don't need to lose hope. They can come over. Is that a fucking ice cream truck? No, here we go.
I was gonna.
It's pink, and it's called Vinyl and Vanilla.
Oh,
I hate them damn things. It makes me think of this Charmed episode that's creepy as fuck. I need to go away. You won't never catch me running towards the fucking ice cream truck unless I'm 8. Where was I? I'm sorry, you guys. Distractions because ADD. Plus, it was also loud. I don't know if y'all heard that. Probably not. He closes the video speaking to how the viewers don't need to lose hope. They can come on over to their offices and see that there's still heroes in this world. And Cordelia calls cut, along with clarifying that they don't really need to try anymore because Doyle isn't giving off everyman energy. Instead, she's getting more of that weasel vibe. Doyle takes the criticism surprisingly well and jokes that the customers will be lining up the second that they hear about their low rats. Cordelia admits that she's genuinely worried about Angel. She doesn't understand how somebody without a heartbeat can still be so heartbroken. Doyle agrees to talk to him while Cordelia continues trying to rescue her commercial, claiming if they get Angel a costume, aka like tights and a cape, then maybe he would want to do it. And Doyle highly doubts Angel's going to go for that and notes that he doesn't want to see that either. That shit's killing me. Like, Cordelia's like got this. I don't know. She just gets, honestly, she's got to be like Gemini Aries in like most of her chart because she just gets so like fantastical in her mind with it. And honestly, her Venus and like rising is probably Pisces because she's super dreamy whenever it comes to like creating these like illusions to her head. Like, this bitch just cannot see like how things need to be. But honestly, that's probably the type of person sometimes you want to have planning stuff or like creating this type of stuff for you at the end of the day if you were actually doing a like serious marketing strategy.
That's the kind of person you want, like, manifesting for your business.
They have the vision.
They're about to be like all in La La Land.
It just sucks because most of the time nobody's on the vision board with her. But it's so funny too because Cordelia's obviously trying to do all this so that way she can make money. She's just like, we're not getting any people in the door, and instead of like trying to like find the helpless now, we'll just put this ad out since the business cards aren't working and all of that type of stuff.
I consider her ahead of her time also because I feel like, you know, she's really trying to like, I don't know, she missed her calling in marketing or something because I'm like, you're going up the right path here, you know, like you're not wrong with anything you're saying.
Execution and then who you have to do it for and all the things like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, she would be good at marketing, but definitely not good at graphic design, as we know. Downstairs, Angel is taking out his frustrations on a punching bag when Doyle joins him. Doyle initially approaches the conversation the way he approaches most things, with humor. He teases Angel about Buffy and breakups, comparing his experience with seeing Harry for that short visit and how he understands how he was a wreck for a few days, but joking quickly disappears when Angel reveals Buffy wasn't actually in Los Angeles for only a few minutes. She was there for an entire day and night. Doyle has absolutely no memory of this, as we know, forcing Angel to explain everything that happened over again. He tells Doyle about becoming human, about finally getting a chance to have a normal life, about getting to be with Buffy without the curses, the impossible circumstances, all the things. Doyle listens in disbelief as Angel explains that he gave it all up. From Doyle's perspective, Angel was handed the one thing that he's wanted for centuries.
Oracles told me I was released from my duty. Buffy and I worked together until we realized it couldn't be. We don't belong to ourselves. We belong in the world fighting. So I went back to the Oracles, and I asked them to turn back the clock. As though that day never happened.
Doyle is confused how Angel would just give that up, but also understanding how Courtney may be right about how she comments on Angel being the real deal when it comes to the hero department, and admits that if he'd been given the choice, he would have taken happiness and never looked back. I love the way that they set that up right there. I say stuff about it later, but just like that, and then also just making the comment about like the hero department, giving us the title of the episode within the statement too, and we're like, if only you knew, Doyle. Angel isn't so sure it was ever really a choice. He explains that the Oracle showed him what would happen if he remained human, that Buffy would die, knowing that there was really nothing else besides that decision to make. Doyle struggles with the idea, still unable to imagine giving up everything you've ever wanted. Angel tells him that you never really know what choice you'll make until the moment comes. Again, one of those lines that kind of like seems not so important, but as we go over the episode, or as you watch the episode, like it basically hangs over the entire episode. The conversation eventually shifts towards the future. Angel mentions that the oracles warned him about something terrible coming. Doyle jokes that Angel already spends every waking hour fighting evil, and now apparently he has to worry about apocalyptic prophecies too. Angel shrugs and says it's all the same thing. You fight the good fight however you can. Doyle assuring if he keeps that up, he will keep the score for Angel. And I was like, well, again, gonna fuck us right in the face because you're like, oh, it will basically just in his own, like, to rephrase it, you know what? I got your back. I'll always be there for you. I'm like, okay, no. I always find this so satisfactory that Angel doesn't keep the info to himself about Buffy. Like, he shares it with Doyle, and I think it's interesting that that's like, from what I know and what I've seen on the show, like that's the only other soul he ever speaks about that day with Buffy too. We would assume that he keeps that knowledge to himself, but like it lets you know, like, I guess, I don't know, it says a lot to the partnership that he's developed with Doyle and the friendship for him to like mention this. And I mean, of course, Doyle's down here like in this moment while he's still, like, as Cordelia said, feeling his feels about Buffy. He's down here punching the fucking punching bag to get frustrations and irritations and things like that out. And Doyle catches him in that moment and also makes cracks about Buffy being here. I mean, he doesn't say her name directly, but he's like, about my ex come to town, like I was feeling the same way. And he's like, nah, you don't understand. And then he has to kind of explain it in that way. But it also is a way of not breezing by everything that happened last episode too. It lets us know that this is still very real for Angel. And it lets us know also kind of how he's dealing with it, but in a small way, without taking a lot of the stuff from the episode that we're getting, and then also not having to like drag it out that he's going to be depressed for 4 fucking episodes or the whole series. Like every episode, he's like, yeah, I miss Buffy. Y'all never know about this one day. Like, you know what I mean? But either way, like I was starting to say a little bit ago, like I think it's nice to see where Doyle stands here in this moment to saying he would have made the decision opposite of Angel because he's typically framed as more selfish. And it makes the ending of the episode, I feel like, much better once you arrive there to see how reflective this moment became for him after everything that follows. Back upstairs, Doyle fills Cordelia in on Angel's story. Cordelia is far less interested in the romance than she is in wasted financial opportunities. If she'd experienced an entire day that nobody else would remember, she would have memorized lottery numbers and stock tips and shit. So I was like, okay, bitch, like naturally, I mean, that's what we would all do. If you had like Groundhog Day, you would have been like repeating stuff and like getting your money, or like playing the lottery 8,000 times until you got the right numbers. Like I get it. Most people would probably do that, but it also lets you know, like, part of those inner dialogues for Cordelia is still there for her to be kind of not so selfless. The conversation eventually shifts towards honesty and secrets, and Doyle begins hinting that there are things Cordelia doesn't know about him, things he probably should have told her by now. And Cordelia encourages him to continue, and he speaks to Harry and how if they had communicated, things would have been different, speaking to the fact that if he wants a relationship with someone, he's got to put more cards on the table. Cordy wondering what that means, and he gets serious and starts to tell her the truth about him. But before he can get the words out, of course, a vision slams into him, like by slams, because, you know, he's always over there like, like grabbing his fucking head and like jolting to the fucking side. That shit killed me too, because whenever he starts doing that, like some people start walking through the office because they're like sitting on the outskirts of the office, because obviously it's a big complex where other businesses and stuff are, and she's like acting like they're playing charades sitting out here. I was like, Cordelia, like, what are you doing? Because these people walk by and I don't even see them look. I mean, I get her like trying to be like, oh, I don't want people to stop and be like, what's happening to this guy? And then, you know, it's just a situation. Of course they would just lie, but I'm like, Cordelia, these people walk right by and you didn't even have to do all this, because as most people do in the world, they don't give a fuck about what's going on somebody else, unless you're walking on the side of the street and somebody like grabs their heart real quick and falls over. Some people are probably still going to walk by, but there are going to be a couple that stop and be like, call 911. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't that serious, especially if you're sitting there with him and you look normal and fine. I'd be like, oh, my friend has like epilepsy or something. Like say he's having an episode, like he's got a really bad headache, or like, I don't fucking know, the edible hit like he took 4 days ago is hitting and still continuing to like rot his brain out right now. I don't fucking know, like something. I'm just like, Cordelia charades. Anyways, that's not the point. Within his vision, we see frightened families hiding together, faces full of fear, people desperately trying to not be found. When the vision ends, Cordelia's first concern is whether the potential clients have any money. She's like, did they look like they could pay? Like, Cordelia, god damn it. But it also like is a fun little callback in that way too, now that I'm saying that, to like her being like, if I hit you in the head, could you have a vision that can make us some more money, you know, like just reminded of kind of those good times. Elsewhere, the episode introduces us to those people from Doyle's vision. A young demon girl races through the streets carrying supplies while another child pulls her into hiding before a group of armed soldiers marches past. Their fear is immediate. We see that they aren't criminals trying to hide or from fear of arrest. They're just people trying to survive. Following the vision, our next scene finds Angel and Doyle having tracked down the location to a bando. Lovely little abandoned place because, it basically looks like, obviously demons don't have like, what I want to call like a lease or anything like that. So they've taken shelter somewhere. So clearly it's a bando.
Obviously. I literally did put in my notes. So I was like, here they go.
And then he's the active urbexing. He thinks they're urbexing, but it's actually active because, it appears empty, but they notice, signs for people there recently because there's still food warm, like belongings were left behind, all the things like that. Clearly someone left in a hurry. Angel is smart though, and I don't know if he smelled them or just heard them because the vampire hearing, but he notices that there's a trapdoor beneath a rug and discovers inside dozens of frightened refugees hiding below. Angel assures them that they're there to help. And then we cut to moments later as the group explains that they are listers, a race of mixed blood demons who have spent months on the run. They were supposed to escape Los Angeles aboard a ship headed for a sanctuary island where other mixed blood demons have found safety, but the man handling their passage stole their money and disappeared. So fucked up. But at the same time, like, they're saying a man at this shipyard, and we see the men that operate the shipyard within this episode and stuff like that too, and we see how some of them act, like some of them be tattletales, so just to say. But like, that's kind of fucked up, but they obviously can get away with it because what are the demons going to go do? Like, go to the police department, file a fucking charge and be like, someone stole my money, they were supposed to help me? Like they're going to tell people about some demon island and stuff. Like, they can't risk exposure at the end of the day in that type of way, especially when their mindset's framed around that. Like, most people don't know about demons, whereas obviously people like Angel, Cordelia, and stuff like that, there's everybody in Sunnydale, not just our core cast, everybody in Sunnydale knows about demons. So I mean, they should have just went to Sunnydale because there ain't these problems in Sunnydale. You know what I mean? We don't see people marching and running around the street. We just got a demon trying to kill everybody in the town once a week. So I think they'll be fine. They're demons, so they'll just blend in, quite literally. They're trapped though, and they have nowhere to go. During their conversation, the kids that were fleeing enter, and the group's elder introduces Angel as the promised one, a figure from prophecy destined to save them from the scourge. I think it's the scourge, not the scourge. I'm saying that because it's got an OU in there. Scourge. They're given scourge. I'm scared of the scourge. Angel has absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Our teenage member of the group, Rife. What did I say I was going to call him? Rife is even less impressed. Did you hear his name throughout the episode? Is it Rife? Me too. That's why I'm having this problem.
I forget it.
He openly questions why anybody would place their faith in a prophecy or in Angel. Looking around at their situation, he sees no evidence that anybody is coming to save them. While Angel is still trying to understand the prophecy, Doyle reacts to something else entirely. The moment he heard the name Scourge, his entire demeanor changed, and he explains that he knows exactly who they are. They're death. They're going to kill us. The Scourge said, I'll kill you. As we would. Because that's our lingo, our words, our verbiage since 2011. Circa. Established. EST. Can you tell I'm feeling a little bit better within my spirits this week? And that I also smoked before coming in here.
Very much.
As the conversation continues through a flashback, which I enjoy that a lot, like the little cutscenes between Doyle, like he's narrating parts of it, but then some of it we're seeing it actually play out. We see the parts of the past that he's carried with him for years. Shortly after discovering that he was part demon, he came home one night to find a Bracken demon named Lucas waiting in his apartment, adorning the same spiky green face as Doyle. Lucas explained that he and his family were being hunted by the Scourge and desperately needed help. He wasn't asking Doyle to fight. He wasn't asking them to save the world. He was simply just asking them for somewhere to hide until they could escape. Doyle admits that at the time he wanted absolutely nothing to do with demons or that side of himself. He'd only recently learned the truth and was struggling enough with it already. Lucas argued that they shared blood and a common enemy, but Doyle refused anyway. Not long afterward, Doyle experienced one of his first visions. At the time, he thought he was losing his mind. What did he say? He's like, I thought I was having a stroke. It's like, oh, shit. I probably would too. Fucking, I mean, it's the way he'd be grabbing his head. That's what I would have told the people of walking by if I was Cordelia. Oh, he's just having a stroke. He's fine. He does this every other day. She's like, it gets us money. She said, the disability check comes in. That's where I'm getting paid. She probably would cash that motherfucker in for a disability check if she could like take him to the whatever the health department while he's having a vision and be like, you see? She get that $500 real quick. The vision, though, showed Lucas and the others being slaughtered. When Doyle followed it, he found their bodies exactly where the vision said that they would be. Even now, years later, the guilt is obvious, and he is reflecting on the fact that somebody came to him asking for help and he turned them away. Looking around at the frightened refugees hiding beneath the floorboards, Doyle realizes he's staring at a situation that feels painfully familiar. Again, I like the flashback sequence, but going to this, I like the fact that we get to see Doyle have his first vision. I thought that was interesting, but like I felt myself like thinking about it this time a little bit more, the fact that we don't really understand how he got the visions. Like we see him have his first vision, but why did they choose him? I mean, I guess they maybe the powers that be saw more in him, and they knew that maybe one day they wanted him to connect with Angel, but he got the visions way before he ever, I mean, he didn't say how long ago this was, if it was 1 year, 2 years, 3 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of like left out of there. But I was like, why was he chosen? Like, except for what led to now. Why wasn't he sent to Angel sooner? Why didn't he arrive in Sunnydale? Why wasn't he in Whistler's place? And you know what I mean? Like, if that's the way we're going on that route, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But I guess you could go so many different ways with it, but in the end of it, then we wouldn't be where we are now, which is, you know, with him a part of the present day that we're dealing with.
I guess you could chalk it up to that, like I was kind of starting to say, the powers that be maybe saw more in him. They saw he had a future and had like existence here, and maybe they knew because of what happened with the guy coming to ask him for help and stuff like that. Maybe they wanted him to help him, to put him on the path to helping people. If I could go there, I mean, I guess that's the only way I could say it, like, because they wanted to help, because they knew that these demons deserved help, and they knew that would further align him one day to possibly fall into the grace of other people that were within a community of helping people like Angel. So that'd be the only way I could make sense of it.
Yeah.
Angel questions why nobody has fought back against the Scourge. Doyle claims that they can't be fought, and Angel says it won't have to come to that anyway because they're going to get them out of there. And, you know, that's just the polar opposite between Doyle and Angel being displayed right here in front of us, because of the fact that Angel's like, no, we're going to get them out of here. Whereas Doyle initially like kind of fled from doing anything responsible in this way. Like, this is Angel's first go-to, is we're going to help them. Cordelia eventually arrives with transportation and gets her own introduction to the refugees. For a moment, she thinks that they walked into a demon nest and nearly sprays everyone with what she claims is demon repellent, but that's just spraying breath spray. Like, that guy goes, it smells like wintergreen. Or spearmint, whatever the fuck he said. I think he said wintergreen. Which is perfect, because at least we know Cordelia likes wintergreen, because who the fuck's fucking with peppermint? Nope. I ain't got time for peppermint. Wintergreen. We know. We used to chew them when we spent the 6. Doyle appears, and Cordy admits confusion over the fact that these people are demons, and Doyle explains the situation, reminding her that not every demon is bad, and convinces her to help. Doyle sends her to prepare the Quintessa. That's an interesting name for a boat. While Angel works on securing safe passage. Before she leaves, Cordelia notices how serious Doyle has become and realizes bad things are coming, and he agrees. Very bad things are indeed. I like this framework for Cordelia too. This is a little bit of growth for her in a small way, just because of the conversation that happens between them. She's like, those are demons. And he's like thinking to himself, he's like, bitch, I'm a demon. Like, no, we need to help them. I don't know. He has to convince her. And thankfully Cordelia like gets on board quick. I feel like an old Cordelia would have bitched and complained about it, or like, not even just in that way, but she would have made it harder than it was easier. And she just kind of fell into this quicker. And it was because she trusts Doyle, which I really appreciate. And obviously we see like why, because she likes him now and things like that too. She works with him, and not even just likes him like as a potential partner. She likes him as a person, just as a co-worker. So they've developed this bond. Again, just like I was kind of speaking to about him and Angel earlier. They have their own version of it. Over with Angel, he speaks to a shipyard worker, voicing he is to look the other way in transporting these people that he's bringing, along with how the guy is to ensure that no one will be finding out about this. Because he's like, someone goes look in that little hatch, you better make him stand there in front of that door and be like, no one's going in that door. He's like, let me see your papers. The guy is very hesitant until Angel reminds him that he knows what he is, and how if he doesn't do as instructed, Angel will be returning to him. And when he does, he will have his hangry attitude on deck. Get it? On deck. The guy stamps his docs and agrees to the terms, because he's like, I ain't trying to get eaten by no vampire. I like how Angel said that too. He's like, your friend or coworker or whatever told you what I was, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, ooh, this must be the guy that fucking stole their cash and shit like that, because he clearly knows demons exist. I was like, Angel, why don't you go ahead and jack him up for the fucking $400 that he stole from these damn demons too, because clearly this is the guy. It's the same shipyard. Like,
And it would make Cordelia extremely happy.
Cordelia actually was probably the person working here that stole the fucking money, to be quite honest. I'm just kidding. But it makes sense, right?
And then she somehow is such a good con artist that she's almost about to set up a deal where she gets that money back herself. So she's like, I'm going to steal their money, and then I'm going to make them come here and tell them that they need to give me the money. So I'll make money twice. She's like, it's my Ponzi scheme. She moved to LA and became a con artist. not an artist, just a con artist. That's when she goes back home and people are like, what do you do? She's like, I'm an artist.
Okay. I'm dead. Tears just came into my eyes. Her favorite song by Rihanna is Bitch Better Have My Money.
Her favorite song is definitely Not Work.
Oh my God. As preparations continue, the elder informs Doyle that Reef has Rife. It's not Reef. It's not the coral reef.
It's fine. He's just going to have two names in the episode. It's fine.
I'll just correct myself every time until I edit and then it comes out perfectly.
No, next time I'm going to bug you up. Next time you're going to be like Rife and I'm like, don't you mean Reef?
Fuck off. The elder informs Rife he informs Doyle. Fuck, now I'm all crazy. You guys, podcasting is hard. The elder informs the elder informs Doyle that Rife has slipped away from the group. The young girl there informing them he left because he didn't believe in the promise. Should I leave all this in? Yes. Courtney's like falling over on the couch, you guys. Like, I can't even get through this.
Oh God, I tried to hold this together, but I couldn't. So I was like, let me just disappear.
This is all my fault, though. Like I said, I usually wait till like kind of mid or halfway or after, which mid is halfway seat. I usually wait till after we're done to smoke, and I didn't do that today because I was feeling really good. So I was like, I'm good. And I smoked all like 45 minutes to an hour ago. Well, not now because it's been 54 minutes, but I smoked like a ways before we came in here. I thought I'd be gone by now, but clearly not. But it's also because I have this confusing ass script to go off of.
Thank you, bro. Your
names. I really should have listened to what this guy's name was. I told you I didn't pay much attention to this episode on most rewatches.
I'm dead.
Okay. Not yet. You're not Doyle. Okay, anyways. Rife has slipped away from the group. The young girl, they're informing them that he left because he didn't believe in the promised one and how he didn't want to get killed, so he got the fuck out of there. And she appears afraid that they are going to die. Doyle assuring her that that's not what's going to happen, asking her if she knows where Rife is gone. Doyle tells the others to go to the ship and he will bring the boy there after he finds him. Damn. I like how Doyle stepped in here. We're just going to say that, and I'm going to move along so that way I don't get fumbled and fucked up right here. I like how we get a little cutscene transition magic to Doyle having tracked him down and discovers that the teenager has completely given up hope. Rife explains that he doesn't belong anywhere. Humans see him as a demon, and pureblood demons see him as impure. He doesn't believe in prophecies. He doesn't believe in heroes. Most importantly, he doesn't believe in Angel or that anybody is going to save them. I feel like I didn't write nothing else in that dialogue for that, but it's because I got thinking about like the statements that he was saying. I felt really sad whenever he was like, my mom took us out on like one time to be around people and like, can you guess what day that was? And I'm like, Halloween, like immediately in my head because, you know, they don't, for obvious fucking reasons.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but feel like that resonated for me on the same level because like not fitting in with people or like quote normal people of the world growing up in various ways, no matter who you are, but just my queer identity, probably your queer identity as well. You know, really who I've always been, especially when I was a teen, like aside from queer identity, when I was like around this kid's age, like in high school, I was like the outcast because I was already in like the alternative type groups. I dressed differently. I presented, especially like the time frame that I was like goth and emo and shit like that. Like I'm wearing eyeliner to school and like doing crazy stuff, like drawing X's across my eyes and going straight up into class and sitting in front. Like I can't imagine what my teachers thought of me. They were probably like, what the fuck ever. I was a good student though, most of the time. But like those phases in adolescence is pretty much what I'm like talking to. There's probably so many people around the world that can resonate with the way that this kid's talking and just saying you can't go out into the normal crowds. I mean, we just kind of had this conversation with Sarah and Leia over on Investigating Angel whenever we did Stranger Things with them the other week and stuff like that too. So I I don't know, this kind of getting put in your face this way. I'm just like, I felt bad for him. And all that he says. And if you think about the fact that Rife is probably a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid. And he's also this demon that's being hunted by these pure demons and saying that he's not worth anything, but he's also not worth anything in the normal realm. So like the whole conversation, the way it's framed and stuff, you just can really resonate with him. And you know that his mindset on it is very adolescent. He's not mature yet to be able to see it from a different perspective. So of course, everything that's laid out in front of him, he sees no hope in anything. So he needs like somebody to like really make that more compelling to him as like fact whenever it comes to that type of thing. And I really like everything that Doyle says to him, because Doyle doesn't like immediately start arguing with him. Instead, he just kind of understands and resonates with Rife himself and how he's feeling. And we know this because he spent most of his life feeling trapped between the worlds as well. He's going through that same exact experience, and he knows what it's like to be rejected and reject part of yourself because you're afraid of what it means. Their conversation slowly becomes less about Angel and more about hope itself. And Doyle admits that he doesn't know whether Angel is the promised one. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. What matters is that people need something to believe in. Without hope, they'd stop fighting. For one of the first times in the series here, Doyle sounds like somebody who genuinely believes the words that's coming out of his mouth as well when he says this. And I really like that, just because, to say again, this makes you feel like in the moment for Doyle, he's sort of talking to himself and reframing everything that he's been telling himself, especially the stuff that we learned in the bachelor party and the way he's been treating himself just basically since he found out that he was a demon and he was with Harry during that time frame. That caused a breakup. It turned into a spiral. Now we know why he went towards substance abuse. You know what I mean? He was like obviously a drunk and just self-sabotaging himself, getting into gambling and just like living a lower life. And he's like basically saying like to this kid, without having to say it, like, you should hold out hope because I don't want you to turn out like me. And he's actually putting on Angel's, boots, his jacket, his coat. He's basically putting on the superhero gear that Cordelia was talking about at the beginning of the episode to be that stand-in for this kid right here. And it just shows you by this point in the episode, Doyle's made a 360 and like how he's been presented this far. So I really appreciated that. Doyle has possibly talked some sense into him, though, and they leave to go meet up with his family at the ship. Unfortunately, en route, they're interrupted by the arrival of the Scourge. I don't know where they're at in town, if it's just like an abandoned district or what the fuck, but these motherfuckers just literally coming in waves. You can hear them trotting like fucking horses and shit like that. I'm like, they got to be in a bad part of town or some shit like that where nobody else lives or pays no attention to it, because them running through the streets like this, people would be like, who the fuck they are? Police officers? Where's Kate? These motherfuckers running around. There's about 40 of them. Chop, 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 chop. I don't know.
Maybe you're right, though. Maybe even worse, though, in an area like that, maybe everyone that's like actually living there assumes that they're military or cops. So they're like, we ain't fucking with that.
I don't fucking know.
We are not.
They gotta be on the hard or outskirts of town. Outskirts.
Like everyone goes into hiding. Everyone goes into hiding.
I'm trying to join us candy. I'm just getting some candy in the middle of the podcast. Sour watermelon, Mike and X.
Yum.
They're delicious, but they actually are really sour. As soldiers move through the area, searching for the refugees, Doyle and Rife run for a while, but then eventually hide in a bando. As one of the soldiers approaches where they're held up, Doyle shifts into his demon form and deliberately draws attention away from Rife. Before he's caught, though, Angel pulls him to safety in the dark and reveals that he has a plan. He doesn't really reveal it, but he kind of like alludes to the fact that he's got an idea, because he's like, he's like, I got this. Just go with the flow. And by the flow, I mean I'm gonna bust your fucking neck up. When the Scourge arrive at the abandoned hideout, Angel presents himself as a vampire with Doyle as his kill. The demon's confused because vamps don't feed on demons, and Angel voices a confident no shit and also clarifies he wouldn't eat him anyway because he reeks of humanity. I got so triggered by that phrase. I don't know if you'll really remember it, but I'm going to take you there and you will remember it. And everybody else should. And if they don't, they're going to remember it right now because I'm going to tell y'all. I feel like the line specifically is a direct call out because of the way it's saying like humanity in general. Remember back in season 2 of Buffy when the judge tried to vaporize Angel after he lost his soul in front of Spike and Drusilla, and he's like, I can't do it. And they're like, wow, what's wrong? He's like, there's no humanity in him. Beforehand, earlier in the episode, or the episode before, whenever he spoke about Dalton, their vampire lackey, Drusilla had been like, do you want a party favor? And he chose Dalton in the group. He's like, I want that one. It reeks of humanity. You know, so he saw like
Yeah.
the humanity within him, but he said specifically reeks of humanity. So I was like, Angel wasn't there for that, but like I was like, to me, obviously, it immediately calls back to it. It's the same writers. I mean, the writers probably didn't do that episode, but in general, it's the same pool of people. And I wonder if they did that intentionally, just because of kind of like what we're dealing with here. And we're talking about demons that have humanity within them and things like that. And the judge's ability to be able to extinguish those types of like people. Those are the only ones, because if they're soulless and impure, then he can not do anything to them. But if they have any kind of existence of life, he can fucking incinerate them. So I thought that was interesting that Angel chose those words specifically. Angel speaks to being disgusted by his own humanity when called out about him also being a half-breed by the Scourge, and to prove his loyalty, he snaps Doyle's neck in front of them. The Scourge are impressed enough to take him along after Angel claims he can help them find more half-breeds because he operates as one himself. I'm going to pause right there for like 2 seconds because just out of curiosity, whenever Angel snapped his neck and stuff, were you like, oh my god, did he just kill Doyle? Like, is something else happening in this episode? Or did you like think that was like a ruse?
I mean, it's funny to think this based on where we ended the episode, but I, in my head, instantly was like, there's no way that's real because they wouldn't kill Doyle.
Yeah.
Which was ironic because, anyway. So I think, yes, based on my first initial like reflex thought, I definitely thought that it was not at all real. Yeah, and they were just like somehow fucking with them. So I didn't know how though, because I was like, that looked really real.
I mean, it sounded really real. It actually was pretty real because he did break that motherfucker's neck, as we're about to find out in a second, you know, but like crazy.
Yeah.
But I also like within the scene too how Angel is able to turn on that kind of Angelus charm to where he's just like vicious. He knows the right cards to play in these types of things. I like when Angel does stuff like this just because you're very you believe it within him. And it's just like whenever he was threatening was it Alan or whatever his name was over in the Sense and Sensitivity episode when he like threatened him and stuff like that. He knows how to turn it on so that way he can make others afraid or just like convince people in certain ways. And I mean, he was pretty convincing. He wasn't convincing to us, but like clearly he was convincing this room because they're like, oh yeah, join us. But they also like saw something different in him. They're like, you're actually part of the clan of people that we would like technically kill. So like, what? I'm surprised that they made the exception for him, but I guess he just played his cards right. And they were like, well, I mean, he hates himself. So like, might as well, because we could use another member to join us. Why not a fucking vampire? Like he can't get killed easily. So like, why not let him join type thing?
Well, he's so convincingly evil also, you know, when he flips like that. So it would be hard almost, especially because he comes in and he snaps somebody's neck. So you're just like, well, he's clear. If nothing else, he don't give a fuck. And that's the energy we need.
Exactly. For real. It's just crazy. After they're gone, though, Rife finds Doyle's body in the bando. Only he discovers that Doyle isn't actually dead in a little jump scare. I like that because he doesn't like jump back all crazy, but he's like, like what the fuck? Like he thought the motherfucker was dead, and we thought he was dead. So we're like, what's happening? Or we kind of thought. I'll put thought in loose-based quotes. Doyle painfully resets his neck and admits that he hated that plan, but also how in demon form they don't die that way, essentially. I don't remember exactly what he says, but I'm just like, oh, well, that's nice. Like, I mean, I know he alludes to that they're stronger in demon form, so maybe like that was just a really good chiropractic like adjustment. Like he's like, my C6 and 7 has never felt better. It's like, but honestly, as soon as Angel cracked his neck and then Doyle got back up, talking about like resetting it, and he like snapped it back into place. I was like, damn, that's what I feel like I need to do to my neck. My neck's been hurting me. So
need to full on decapitate yourself.
Yeah, basically. Give me the piano wire. Reds. Meanwhile, though, the refugees begin boarding the Quintessa, and Cordelia argues pricing for making the shippers wait more for them to arrive since they aren't there yet. I thought that guy was like douchebaggy. Like, and again, this is probably the guy that fucking stole the money. Now that I'm thinking about it, because he was like, "No, it's gonna cost you extra now if we stay an extra 10 minutes." And I'm like, "Bro, where y'all got to go?" Like, just say that something held y'all up. Say like one of the like ropes wouldn't untie from like boarding off or whatever the fuck y'all want, or setting off, sailing off, whatever the fucking words are. I don't run a ship. I don't sail. But you know what I mean? Like, calm down. Like, no. Cordelia, and did you talking to the worst one too? Because you see Cordelia rolling her eyes. She's like, oh, more money. She's like, we'll get you that for sure. I'm like, he ain't getting shit except dead. I hope he ain't the one, but I wish he was the one that showed up to get burned up in a little bit. Fucker, all these damn shipyard people need to get killed, especially since it's in a bad part of town. Either way, Cordelia has a brief conversation with the leader, and he casually thanks Cordelia for helping and mentions that Doyle understands their struggles because he's half demon too. Cordelia freezes now being informed about Doyle. That is so fucked up that she got told by someone else. Like, that guy doesn't know that Cordelia doesn't know too. So you're just like, what the fuck? Like, I can't remember this dude's name either. Like, they called him something earlier, and I'm just like, I suck at this episode. Like I said, I've never watched this episode like 100 times in my life. Like, I usually know everything about every other episode, but this is always one of those beer ones for me. So I'm just like sucking so bad at it. But I thought that was interesting because I was like, oh, but like, I do remember the first time I saw this, like, I thought Cordelia was going to be like pissed off with Doyle, and I didn't know Doyle was going to die and stuff like that either. So I was like, oh, she's definitely not going to like date him, or they're going to have like hardship for a couple episodes because she's not going to feel like she could trust him, or she's not going to handle it in the right way, or maybe she's going to go back on her feelings for Doyle and stuff like that too. So that kind of helps with the twist that we get here in a little bit with Cordelia's energy. In an underground space, we cut to find Angel, who is now dressed like the Scourge because they then gave him, they said, what size do you wear? And they gave him his outfit. They said, here's a comb and some hair gel because apparently we need you to like part your hair and comb it to the side and do all this stuff. Like, I'm just like, just Angel standing there. I mean, he's in vamp face too. It just like looks super awkward. Angel in these disguises this season. Like, this is a little bit better, I'd say, because he looks neater and like he looks the part versus like, again, in Sense and Sensitivity when he had that Hawaiian shirt on, that damn hat and shit, talking again at the shipyard where like a boat was going off and stuff like that. Like, I'm just like, Angel, what is happening with you, dude? He just had a comb in his pocket. He's like, he spit in his hands and combed his shit over. Or like I said at the beginning, they gave him jail. Who knows? They listened to what I guess is like the leader speak to the group about how tonight they will be killing the half-breed vermin. At this time, a man steps forward acknowledging that he's from the shipyard, and we find out that he's ratted out the operation, as I said earlier, going down to move the half-breeds. The demon also reveals a machine that emits a cleansing light that apparently spreads a quarter mile in every direction, and how it will exterminate any half-breed that's within that radius. That's kind of fucked up. That was kind of given did you ever watch the Amazing Spider-Man movies? With Andrew Garfield, like in I think the first one, yeah, definitely was the first one because he only got two, like all the other ones got more. Poor Andrew. There's like this lizard man, and he wants to turn everybody basically into fucking lizards and like sentient beings. Essentially, like he thinks he's gotten turned because he was a doctor that like had no arm, so he like injected himself with these lizard serums. Because, you know, like lizards and spiders, they can grow back appendages, and he wanted to like basically get his arm back. So he was doing all this testing in the labs and stuff at Oscorp, and he did that, but he accidentally injected either too much or just had a bad reaction. And he turned into like this big lizard monster. And because it was a kind of Jekyll and Hyde energy, sometimes he would revert back to like the regular self part of the movie, and then he would go back into the lizard state every time he injected the stuff. And eventually that personality kind of took over. And a point of the movie is he like was going to go up into this tower thing and like basically make that serum like turn into a gas that would spread all over New York City and turn everybody into like these lizard creatures. So that way he could like, everybody could like not get, because it makes you free of cancer or any other various things, any kind of ailment you have, you heal from it essentially. So this kind of reminded me of what he was going to do in his task to like make everybody like do that, but except he wanted everybody to still live and just be lizards. This guy wants everybody to fucking die. That's a demon. So I'm just fucked up. Like, you better hope you ain't in that half-mile radius whenever you fucking when this when this light goes off. Like, which is kind of funny too, because like they use the shipyard man as an example to how the like system works, and they power it up, and they do what I'm gonna call as a 2K per slay, because we don't actually get one this episode, but the guy like basically does what a 2K per slay does. He like goes through the stages of us seeing his skin start to melt off, then we see his muscle anatomy, and then eventually he's just like reduced to ash and incinerated in front of them. I was like, that's a pretty cool effect. So we're gonna give it 2K per slay, because you know they had to use about the same budget for that. But I don't get why Angel didn't burn up, because he's in the room while this light occurred. You know what I mean? I know they put him up close to it and stuff, but I'm like, Angel's a half breed, so why didn't this light kill him? And it was gonna kill him if he went up there to try to unplug it anyway. So I'm like, logic, like what is happening in this moment? Like maybe they only powered it up halfway. I don't know, plot holes. Either way, Angel is frightened at what he's witnessed and what's going to happen when they all begin to rush out toward the shipyard with the machine. Angel steals a motorcycle from one of the members and races towards the docks. Doyle arrives with Rife, handing him over to his dad. Cordelia is surprised Doyle made it there, grateful that he's alive, but also wastes no time pulling him aside after slapping him across the face, demanding an explanation, because he didn't tell her that he was half demon, especially after they agreed how there were not going to be any more secrets between them and how secrets were bad. Doyle finally admits the truth that he's half demon. He braces for rejection, and instead, Cordelia is mostly angry that he never trusted her enough to tell her.
I've rejected you way before now. So you're half demon. Big whoop! I can't believe you think I'd care about that. I mean, I work for a vampire. Hello?
It's true, I just...
What do you think I am? Superficial? I mean, you're half demon. That is so far down the list. Way under short and poor. Is there anything else I should know?
Not a half-demon thing, pretty much my big secret.
Good. That's out. It's done. Would you ask me out for dinner already?
Thought that was so sweet. We'll talk about more in the second. I'm gonna keep rolling. And he starts to, but is interrupted when Angel arrives on that motorcycle and reveals the Scourge's true plan and how they are on the way, or well, more like the fact that they are here now, because, you know, them bitches peel up in their fucking trucks and start to run at the damn ship. And I'm like, all right, Angel, you gotta get there a little second earlier for this type of shit. But, you know, the battle's about to begin. But before we get into that, let's have some discussion about this, because obviously we got to talk about Cordelia. I'm really proud of Cordelia right here, because we've been talking a little about it throughout the episode. Like, not only does she hold acceptance at the forefront, but it's miraculous for someone that we've seen in the past act catty typically about this. Like I said, when it was revealed that he was a half demon and he wasn't the one that told her, I figured she was going to be like really fucking pissed off about it and just like slap him and then fucking leave him. It'd be a whole problem for episodes, because she's typically an intolerant kind of person, which we're dealing with intolerance in this episode too. So I thought that might mirror that. She typically would be the type of person to like hold a grudge on someone also, because we've kind of see that. Like, I mean, she held a grudge on Xander for fucking ever. Like, she probably still hates Xander. She still talked about him the other, again, what Sense and Sensitivity. She's like, I don't date losers anymore. So she's like, but I'll make an exception for Doyle. Clearly. I feel like this is just like exposing a little bit more of those layers that we've been talking about Cordelia, and like acknowledges more of like how far she's come in her growth. And now, like, again, acknowledging her feelings for Doyle. Like, she seems to get over this a little bit faster than we've seen so far of her. And I feel like that's big, because this was a big thing that Doyle kept from her. So like, arguably she does have a right to be bothered by it, because it is a lack of trust. But I feel like you can't blame Doyle either, because it's hard to tell someone who you are when they're constantly talking about, like, I mean, all she's been doing is being like, demons are gross, I don't fuck with them. Like, she's been saying that literally since the start of the season, no matter what they've been doing. Yeah. I think In the Dark, whenever that vampire with the Gemma Momara stuff, I think that's one of the first episodes that she was doing that, and he was already hiding his demon side, because he's over there sniffing for the fucking ring in the tunnels and stuff, trying to hide from her and all this other stuff. So why would you tell somebody? Like, that'd be like somebody professing that they can't fucking stand, I'm gonna use cheese in this example just because we're coming off of Buffy, and all they do is talk about how they fucking hate cheese, and you fucking love cheese more than anything in the fucking world, and you really want to be with this person, or just like be good in their eyes in that way, and you would never at all mention it. You know what I mean? Because you're like, why would I mention that and like ruin everything, because they're not going to date me because I don't like this one thing or something like that too. Yeah. So like, it's interesting how we get that like side of things. So I get why Doyle had that stuff. And then this also goes to say, like, too, like, when you're dealing with somebody that's like a part of a minority group that they're specifically speaking to as well, like, that's something you can't change, that Cordelia is often like saying that she doesn't like. So I kind of awarded her for that overall, just because of that. And then I found myself kind of curious for you. I was like, do you think Doyle was more afraid of Cordelia rejecting him, or more afraid of being honest with who he was?
I think both, but I think when it comes to Cordelia specifically, it's probably the rejection, or maybe just even washing away any potential. You know what I mean? Because like, you never really know how someone's going to react, and she does bring up some good points as far as like what she's saying is concerned. You know, like, how could he even think that when all these circumstances are at large? But it doesn't change the fact that you're always going to think that, especially when you're, like you said, she spent most of the season actually saying more negatively toned things about demons. So I can only understand his hesitation for so many reasons, because her own like narrative that she shared around it hasn't probably made him feel the most secure about being forthright either, because it seems like he is setting himself up for rejection and being honest. So it is kind of obviously shocking in the best of ways that she is so positively responsive to what he's saying, and she does kind of skip right to the chase, because she can tell that he likes her, and so she's does him the favor, you know? So it's like she almost goes the extra mile and not just rejecting him, but being like, hey, I'm going to just go ahead and open this door for you to walk through since you're not going to do it yourself, kind of thing. So I don't know. I love that. It's like you said, it speaks on her evolution, I think, as a character from where we've come from, especially from Buffy, but even just from the first episode of this show.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to call out your pun that you just unintentionally made too. You called it a chase, and I'm like, a Cordelia chase?
Exactly.
Yeah, like I asked that question too. Like I didn't really preface that the right way, but like I saw both sides of that because I think it was equal parts, kind of like Cordelia rejecting him that he was afraid of, but then also the fact that like he was not being honest with himself about who he was, so that was already like a touchy subject. And I mean, we've kind of like discussed this in certain ways, in small ways, but now we're able to kind of like discuss it in the bigger way. Another question to find out what you think, because I have my own thoughts on it too, in a way. Do you think Doyle and Cordelia would have worked out had Doyle not passed away?
It would have been really interesting to see, because I think they were both at a place potentially where like they could have really appreciated each other as partners and respected each other properly. I think the only thing that would have concerned me is, like I said in the beginning, just as a friendship dynamic, it's really hard to always be together, you know? And so I think like the element of like working together, and then if they were dating, they'd be spending extra time together outside of that on top of it. I don't know, like I think that my first thought is like Doyle would eventually annoy Cordelia somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just a perspective that I have now coming first into how she's evolving as a character. So maybe she would have been more tolerant to things than I imagine. But yeah, I mean, who's to say? She dated Xander successfully for quite some time. So it's not impossible to assume that could have actually been a long-lasting relationship. Whether it's like get married and have kids kind of thing, I have no idea. But
right.
Could they have had like a long-term relationship and like versus a fling? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, and if you can, like you said, date somebody like fucking Xander, the most annoying person in the fucking Buffyverse, like, then you can definitely probably last out with Doyle.
And also the least, like, suspecting for Cordelia, you know, because like I just said, you just don't see her tolerating someone like Xander for as long as she did.
At that time of her life, too.
At that time, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that maybe she has more, like, patience than I think she does.
I agree.
Maybe I'm coming from my own angle.
But I'm kind of that way, too, because, I mean, I have worked with my partner, and you technically work with yours, but y'all work different shifts, you know what I mean? So you're not always at work.
We don't see each other like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I have worked with a partner before, and I've like worked with them after we break up too, and it's just too much sometimes. I feel like some couples can, I mean, every relationship's different in that some people thrive with it, because a lot of couples open up businesses together. They have a shared passion for the business that they want to do and operate, and they maybe work different parts of it, and they do go to work together. But, you know, like if they're opening a restaurant, that person's out there like working the floor and the other person's in the back making the food or something, so they're not on each other's shit the whole day. But then that does have the chance to breed a little discontent and like irritation, because, you know, what if your wife's coming back there, or your person, I'm just gonna say your person's coming back there, and they're being like, hey, I need these orders out, and you're like, bitch, I'm fucking frustrated, and you take that shit home with you. You don't know how to compartmentalize and act appropriately in this situation. So it takes a certain type. I feel like I agree with you on that stance. Like, who knows how long and what range that would have like went out for. But like, I feel like if anything, because of what we've witnessed from them and their change between the two of them and being around each other, they've kind of forced each other to grow in such a short time. And just being around Angel and influenced by him and what they're doing to help people, I feel like has changed a lot too. So I feel like there's different stakes there, but also at the same time, like I could easily see like them starting dating, and like instead of a breakup happening or somebody cheating like it happened to Cordelia last time, or something like this, I mean, which is kind of what happens, like someone dying, like Cordelia gets eaten by a vampire one time because she's out and about, like the unfortunate happens, or something happens to him, you know what I mean? Just like something natural, maybe even, you know, he gets hit by a fucking car, like I don't know, hopefully he's in demon form, so if his neck breaks he's good to go. But you know, like something natural kind of could happen, but I don't know the duration of time they could stay together. But I feel like they could have had something, just because Cordelia saw him in a different light than the way she was framing him in that episode, like to be in comparison to Xander, like the loser that she would have to change to date him. And it seemed like she was okay with that change. Like it wasn't an inevitable process for her anymore. It was just something that she would be okay with doing. So I think it would be cool, and that's why I said in the beginning of our opening statement, it's kind of sad that we don't really get to see that chance for these two, you know what I mean?
That's sad.
So the final battle erupts across the Contessa as it begins pulling away from the harbor, and Angel fights his way through the Scourge, while Doyle, Cordelia, and the refugees discover they've been trapped below deck alongside the beacon. Oh, the beacon said that light thing's name. I forgot. I wrote it in here. Or should have read it earlier, too. Angel kills the leader of the Scourge real quick, because obviously, like, the whole fight sequence goes down. Like I said, the final battle erupts. Like, Angel snaps that fucking guy's neck when some, like, clever retort that he says, now you ain't got no leader, so maybe this guy will start spitting out this knowledge, because obviously, like, it always takes a leader to fucking make everybody else do the stuff. So once you don't have any more, either someone else is going to step up or whatever to take over. Angel explains to them what the device does and how if someone disconnects the power source, the weapon will fail. The problem is that reaching it means standing directly inside the deadly light, and Cordelia understands what Angel is thinking, and so does Doyle. So bad, because like they start to set it up like you think Angel's gonna do this, and like obviously from their perspective, Doyle and Cordelia, especially Cordelia, she's like, no, that's suicide, Angel, like you can't do that. She's like, bro, like, no, I won't have a job again, I won't make money, this is gonna be a problem. But obviously she's not approaching it from that angle, but that's probably what she's thinking. As Angel prepares to sacrifice himself, Doyle finally understands the conversation they had earlier about the good fight and not knowing what choice you'll make until you're tested. The lesson Angel shared at the beginning of the episode suddenly comes full circle, and he repeats Angel's own words back to him and admits that he finally understands what they mean. Then before Angel can stop him, Doyle punches him away from the beacon. More like off a fucking thing. He's like flying off. Like it reminded me of Anne pushing that guy off of the ledge. Like Angel goes down below, like, which is, it makes sense because if he was closer to Doyle, he would have been able to get back to him in time, but he has to rush to get back up there. I'm like, are you a vampire? Can't you just jump from the ground back up to there? Like, but he can't get there in time. We can't let him. Doyle turns to Cordelia. He kisses her. A blue light emits from his kiss into her and jokes that it's too bad that they'll never get the chance to find out whether she could have learned to love his demon face as he shifts into it. And then Doyle jumps. Angel desperately tries reaching him, but Doyle grabs onto the beacon and begins tearing at the power cord while the light burns through him. His demon form disappears at first, then the rest of him begins fading away. Every bit of strength he has is being stripped from him, but he refuses to stop. The refugees watch helplessly as Doyle continues pulling at the connection. Angel screams for him to let go, but Doyle doesn't. With one final effort, he disconnects the power source and destroys the beacon, saving everyone aboard the ship. And in a blast of light, he is incinerated and the light shuts down. Cordelia sobbing and Angel crying along with her as they hold each other, which I thought was so sweet. Like they turn to each other immediately for comfort because like they just literally watched him have the same effect that guy did earlier. Crazy. I guess before we go into like the very final scene, like I know you said you cried and stuff like that. Were you already starting to cry right here, or was it like the next scene? Yeah.
No, definitely right here when I realized that, you know, he was gonna die. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because obviously the way they showed, like, that's why they had to kind of show us the emulation of what would happen, like by example, because after that they're evaporated. Like, you know, there's no chance of coming back from that unless you're like an angel or a ghost or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the only way you would ever see this person again. But again, we do not. So I guess you just knew the finality was there, and the fact that Doyle was definitely dead. He's gone. Yeah. And then the next scene carries the weight of that to let us know that that's actually what happened, because some people hold on to stuff. In our final scene back at Angel Investigations, the office feels a bit empty, and Angel and Cordelia sit together in silence watching the tape her and Doyle recorded at the beginning of the episode, and this time it clearly hits a bit different. On screen, Doyle fumbles through his lines and complains about the cue cards. Earlier it was a joke, but now every word carries a lot more weight, and he talks about heroes, he talks about helping people, and he talks about being there when someone needs you the most, and going all the way no matter what. Without realizing it, Doyle spent the entire commercial describing exactly who he would become. The tape ends with Doyle looking directly into the camera, speaking to the viewers. Come on over to our offices and you'll see that there's still heroes in this world. Is that it? Am I done? We fade to black and here endeth the episode. I'm surprised I didn't cry reading that, because I'm about to cry right now, because that's the scene that always tears me up. I cry now watching the episode. When I originally watched it, I didn't cry that Doyle died, but I did cry when I watched this, because it's so sad to like watch your friend that you know how great to have this footage just to say, you know what I mean, something, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see him ever again. Like there was no other tapes of him and stuff like that. He wouldn't probably let anybody put him on camera. It's so clever the way that they do this. They start the episode with this videotape and like frames it, and they put all this dialogue in here and stuff like that. And like I said, by the time it's at the end of the episode, which I'll kind of read right now, like Critically Touch had said, after the big showdown, we go back to the ad Doyle taped for Cordelia, and how their perception of it has changed is what the episode is about. Being a hero has nothing to do with melting hearts, wearing billowy black coats, or riding off with the damsel, the stereotype Angel himself is closest to. It's about stepping up to do the extraordinary, but then time comes upon you, and it's nice to see how right Cordy was. Doyle was perfect for the ad. Like, I'm gonna cry again because it's so lame. Sorry. The scene chokes me up because I could relate to that, like sitting there and like even like going down memory lane to see something and stuff like that always triggers you. I'm really glad they had this, but like the weight of that fucking scene of them doing it and like watching him do that, and then they fucking end on him being like, is that it, am I done? And I'm like, yeah, you are, because you're not alive anymore. He didn't know that was what the words were gonna mean later. I love when stuff can carry that double meaning. It's so clever and so beautiful. I think if anything, just the ending scene is what makes me really like the episode. Even whenever I finished out writing out the script and stuff, like just reading that back over and stuff, I was crying right in the damn script. I'm like, fuck. Obviously, it was happening on the episode, but
I would have been too if I had to write a script like you do, because that just like reliving it and like, you know, having to, because I watched it twice, especially the end part, because there were some parts in there, obviously. Yeah. And I feel like I was distracted, honestly, the first time that I watched it, and I wasn't sure. And I think maybe I do this a lot just to like to create a sense of doubt, maybe for hope in the future, or, you know, like I wanted to make sure that there was no possibility that he was going to be able to like return from this or something. So I was like, is he really dead? You know, like, did that just really happen? Is there a way that his soul could get trapped in the light and come back later? Like, I'm thinking all these crazy things. So I think like the weight of it being for real, you know, and then having that ending scene where you start the episode that way, but then you don't realize, because it seems so subtle.
No, it was completely funny in
moment
the episode, but then
in the episode, you know, like you're not really thinking anything could bring this moment back in a sad way, because of how subtle and funny it truly was to start with. So like you said, it's just a perfect double meaning way to end the episode, especially because it reflects Doyle, oddly enough, perfectly. He was so awkwardly charming in this weird way, and I think that that's how he presented himself in that video. So it was almost like this perfect way to encompass like the memory of his character. And like exactly.
That's why I'm glad I have like this podcast, because like, God forbid, like one of us go before the other. I know the other one's going to go back and be listening to these things if we can handle it. Like, I don't know if I could bear it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, I could not. Maybe on like if you went before me, I would say that activity for my own deathbed. I'd be like, all right, y'all. I'd be like, it's my last day alive. Put some headphones on.
Well, it's kind of like how those people do when they
have
like a voicemail from someone that they had left them a voicemail, you know, a grandfather or a dad or a mom or something like that, a parent, whatever you want to call it, a flame or something. Like Alexis lost her boyfriend a couple years ago, and she still has this music to listen to and like hear his voice and hear him sing and stuff like that. So it's just special to have those things. That's why I was saying that. I was talking about double meanings too. I do want to mention like him saying, come on over to our offices and you'll see that there's still heroes in this world. Obviously we're framing him as a hero, so he's like saying there's still heroes in this world, and this time he gets to talk about himself. But also the camera cuts back from the TV screen over to Cordelia and Angel, who are still heroes left in this world, as he's saying that statement. And I was like, oh, it's letting us know that they're still here to like take over and stuff. And then obviously it clips back to him saying that. And this carries a lot of finality, and it's so sad. It's heart tugging. And I was like, damn, they did this to us twice in a row. They had us crying at the end of the last episode, technically, or like most people. And then they got us on this one. I'm glad this one got your ass. Like, I'm glad you like Doyle enough to cry for him and be hit with it.
Well, that, and I like, in a way, it's kind of fucked up when you think about the fact that there's that moment in this episode where you kind of think for a second, is Doyle dead when Angel snaps his neck? So it's weird that you have this exchange, but it's so passive in that moment because so much is going on that it doesn't at all hit the same way, you know, that it actually does when it happens. So it's weird how you're introduced with the same circumstances, but you respond to them totally differently based on how it's done and what else is going on. And that's what kind of threw me for a loop, having to like reflect back on it, because I was like, they almost foreshadowed him dying. They
foreshadowed everything all episode.
Angel literally,
crazy. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's basically what you were going to say, I guess.
No, you're fine.
So what I'm going to say now is things metaphor, and we're going to wrap this up. Other than what we discussed earlier that can be taken as metaphor, I wanted to focus primarily on the view of Doyle and how that was grounded in this episode, since Hero is clearly centered around identity and the moment where you stop running from who you are. Throughout the season, Doyle has lived in this space between worlds. He's half human and half demon, but he never truly embraces either side. He has his demon heritage, keeps secrets from Cordelia, and tends to avoid responsibility whenever it becomes uncomfortable. That's why I think the listers are such an important part of the episode, because they're essentially a reflection of Doyle himself. They're people who don't fully belong anywhere, who are judged for what they are rather than who they are, and Doyle sees himself in them whether he wants to or not. On the other side of that, you have the Scourge, who represent prejudice and extremist thinking. They're obsessed with purity and view anyone who doesn't fit their definition of acceptable as something that needs to be eliminated. It gives the episode a lot more weight because it's not really about demons, it's about intolerance and the dangers of defining people by a single part of their identity. The other theme that really stands out is the idea of heroism and what it actually means to be a hero. Earlier in the episode, Angel tells Doyle that you never really know what choice you'll make until the moment you're tested. The conversation hangs over the entire story because Doyle spends most of the episode pointing to Angel as the hero, Angel is the champion, Angel is the promised one, Angel is the person everyone should believe in. The episode shifts that role onto Doyle, and by the end, Hero isn't really about Angel at all. It's about Doyle finally stepping up when the moment arrives. He stops hiding and stops seeing himself as the sidekick in somebody else's story. Even the metaphor of Doyle's demon face comes full circle. For most of the season, it's represented shame, fear, and the part of himself he wishes people wouldn't see. But in this episode, the thing he spent so much time hiding from becomes the thing that allows him to save people. It's the first time we really see Doyle fully accept every part of who he is, and that's what makes the title so fitting. The episode reveals that the real hero of the story was Doyle all along. So sad. I feel like last episode, like we were like so sad. I'm like, no. Now that we're here, I'm like, fuck. A little Angel fun facts for ya. The demon species who enslaved teenagers in LA during Buffy's episode Anne is the same as the soldiers of the Scourge. Special effects supervisor Aloni Pestier explains David Greenwalt described his vision of Doyle's death. I want him to melt to death. I want his flesh to melt off in muscle and then bones. And then they said that they were concerned that that effect would be too graphic for television. And he shot Doyle in his demon form and Doyle with half-burned makeup on. And they used matte elements to digitally chew through his skin, including an element of acetone poured on styrofoam to create the effects with it. And clearly it did make it for television because it's in the final cut. So like, he's like, no, go along with it anyways. It's fine. She's like, we're going to kill him. I'm like, okay, cool. Awesome. Which is so crazy because, I mean, he dies a horrific death at that. Like, not even to say he just dies. He dies a horrific ass death. Like, he did not feel good as he was dying. It was not peaceful.
Yeah.
But it probably didn't hurt as bad because I wouldn't say it didn't hurt as bad. It probably did hurt. But I don't know, when you have adrenaline going and you have all that other stuff and you have a meaning to be dying, you usually are okay with going out no matter how bad it feels type thing. So the Scourge are reminiscent, obviously, of the Nazi Party in Germany, who believed that the pure race is specifically is it Aryan race? Is that Aryan? I don't know if you know. It says Aryan, so I didn't just want to like pronounce that incorrectly. Aryan. We'll go with that. Aryan race were superior. To protect their purity, they persecuted the Jews like the Scourge persecute the half demons. Their uniforms too are similar, as is the way that Angel styles his hair whilst undercover. Which I guess that's why Angelus was like, in his mind frame, being Angelus, he was like, let me comb my hair over because I know that this is what they'll like. And then there was a bunch of pop culture references, but the only one I liked was Angel calls one of the Scourge members Football Head, which is Helga's nickname for Arnold over on Hey Arnold from the Nickelodeon series. So I was like, I grew up watching that. I'm going to throw that in here. And then I'll give you a breadcrumb. There are 3 big payoff moments from this episode. One is next episode, one in season 3, and the final one is in the final season. So there's a little breadcrumb for you. You're welcome.
Okay, thanks.
All right, now that we're done with breadcrumbs, possibly. Final slays. Final slays. Doyle's done.
So sad. So sad. For the 18th time.
I know. I only have a couple of quotes for this episode, and they kind of both come from Doyle and Cordelia because I was like, who else can I choose?
I think we'll probably all have the same quotes.
Maybe. I feel like this episode, just because there's not a lot to stop and discuss about, I mean, I probably could have found some stuff, but I feel like this episode's a little dry to do that with, so I didn't have as many jokes to make or things like that, and that's probably also another reason I was kind of like fumbling through some stuff, just because there wasn't a whole lot for me to like stop and pause with. I was just kind of like reading through the script in some ways, so that was that. And I felt the same way about the dialogue that was in here. There wasn't like really big quotes that you could really pull from, so they had to kind of come from these two characters because it wasn't as jokey and lighthearted as others.
Yeah.
But one of them I had from Doyle is where he was like, I don't see Angel putting on tights, now I do, and it's really disturbing, just because I thought that was cute, because like Cordelia emulates that whole thing. And then when Doyle was talking about he didn't want to be rejected, and Cordelia following it up with like, I rejected you long before now, and I was like, oh shit. Fuck. And then she goes on to say, hello, I work for a vampire, what do you think I am, superficial?
Okay, Cordelia.
God damn. But those are the only ones that I had for this one.
I had Doyle in the beginning of the episode when he said, I don't know what we need evil for when we've got you here. And Cordelia responds and said, I heard that. And then when Doyle, right after Doyle gets done reading the lines that Cordy wrote incorrectly, and he's like, I think people will be pouring in once they hear about our low rats.
Not Angel. Angel wants to hear more rats.
And then that moment that we talked about for a second already, where the demon was talking about wintergreen after Cordelia sprays her demon repellent, that's actually breath freshener.
Do we both agree on who should be champion this episode?
Yes. Okay. I think that goes without say.
The Scourge?
Exactly.
Clearly, you guys, it's Doyle. Could you like you couldn't, even if there were other champions, you have to give it to Doyle. You just have to.
Yeah. Luckily, there's not other champions because no one else did anything.
Agreed. Literally.
Angel spent a good bit of the episode combing his hair in the background somewhere,
and then beating up the Scourge members while like they were figuring other stuff out. Like at least he did some stuff. So yeah.
At least he was a good distraction method.
Angel was the sidekick this time around. The only time around. What gave you the Wiggins?
That football head guy.
That football head guy just fucking sent me. I'm dead.
That's the only thing I could think of. I was like picking through.
It's hard, right?
I was like, there's really not a moment where like anything that gross or obvious happens where you're like, ugh, you know. So I was like, the one thing that stood out to me is how that dude's head was looking, and it was giving me the wig. So I was like, no, that's the one. What is yours? What did you come up with?
Kind of the same, but mine, I wrote the way that these Scourge demons look. I said, because honestly, since they want to preach hate and intolerance, I'm gonna shame them on their appearance. But also
no, you can know instantly why they're upset because they look like that.
Yeah, they're like, we're superior. I'm like, no, you're gross. That's what you are.
It's no, y'all inferior. Look like a thumb,
or
like a busted up one that I got sewn back together.
They're sore thumbs. Also, I kind of chose like their whole stance, the concept of their stance in general. Like, just it's gross. It gives you the Wiggins just because you hate to see it. We talked about it.
You're right. It's not the Nazism of it is not.
It's not cute. We're not here for it. Nope. What's laid to you this episode?
Other than the obvious moments of like Doyle risking his life and things of that nature, one of the funny ones I wrote down was Angel blackmailing that guy about the papers, and he was like, so basically when someone asks you, like, I don't want this boat to be stopped and searched. Yeah, and he was like using his leverage, whatever that was, that we're still unclear on, but yes. So that was that. Basically Angel blackmailing.
Perfect. Which we have gotten to basically see him do multiple times on the series. So I was gonna give it to Cordelia, like because I haven't really had her for like Slade moments really relatively on this show. The whole encompassment of her learning who Doyle was and having the reaction that she did and how she met Doyle with it. I thought that Slade, like, sure, she slapped him, which was fair, but she also doubled right back and didn't ignore her feelings for him and wanted him to ask her out. For Cordelia, I think that's a slay. So, and then I also have to mention that kiss. I think it was the ultimate slay. Like, The fact that he went
Yes.
out right before he died with a kiss, kissing the girl that he's been liking and having feelings for and stuff like that. Like, no better time to do it, right?
That's true.
All right, Slayer at predicts. Let's predict some Slayers. What did you think of Cordelia and Doyle's kiss? Their one and only kiss.
It's sad. It made me instantly feel bad for Cordelia, to be honest with you, because I was just like, damn, the one time that we actually have a little bit of hope for her like romantic prospect, because we know that Doyle is decent. Yeah, it made me really, really sad. But also you can see a lot of potential there, like they had real chemistry, so it makes it more sad, but at least you know that there was some genuine chemistry and feelings and emotions going on there, and it wasn't just like this fleeting crush or moment kind of thing. Anyway, go on.
You can see a lot. Anything stand out to you about it?
Yes. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. Something's going to happen to Cordelia, obviously.
What is the thing I'm talking about? What do you see?
I mean, there was like some sort of, what do you want to call it? Like a transfer of some sort, or like some sort of like exchange of visual energy. I don't know how to really put that into words. I'm sure, well, y'all have seen the episode. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, of course. I didn't want to just pointedly ask about it. I just wanted to make sure if you saw it or noticed it or anything.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
I definitely caught that.
It.
I forgot about it in this moment until you reminded me that happened. But yeah, so I definitely caught that, and clearly that means like, I don't know what that means, but it means something. And I assume like maybe Cordelia is going to start like changing somehow. I don't know if that means like she's going to become a demon or what's going to happen, but it's giving he infected her with something without it sounding like that. I don't know like another word to use.
Infected is crazy.
Well, you know what I mean.
All right, cool.
He gave her something.
Well,
but then it sounds like an STD if I say,
oh
like,
my
he gave her
God.
something.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So I don't know. She's different. She's be different now. Something happened.
All
to
right.
her.
Well, with that in blue light, the next episode is entitled Parting Gifts.
Well, clearly he gave her something.
Okay.
And that was his parting gift.
All right. We'll see.
Oh no.
What?
Is she going to start having visions?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Well, wouldn't that be something? It would be great for their business. And I want the moment to happen where if she has one and that does happen, the very first time that Angel realizes it, I want him to be like, did you see someone who looks like they would pay?
That's crazy. All right, cool.
Anyway.
All right, well, join us for that one because we'll have another new guest coming on for it. So not you, because you'll be here obviously, but everybody else come listen. We got a special guest on that episode, so it'll be a fun one. I'm excited for you to see that episode. We have to watch it together, by the way, so either this like Saturday, or we can talk more about this after we click stop, but we need to plan that before next week. As always, though, thank you guys for joining us for our coverage of this episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts as per usual, because it's definitely one of those episodes that gives us a lot to talk about, except on the actual recording. It just sparks conversation like for everybody amongst the fandom. How did you feel about Doyle's exit from the series? Did his sacrifice work for you emotionally, or do you wish that we would have gotten more time with the character before his story came to an end? Were you disappointed that Doyle and Cordelia never got the chance to explore where their relationship might have gone, especially after finally getting some honesty between them in this episode? And what do you think of the Scourge and make of them and the episode's larger themes? Do you see the story as a metaphor for prejudice and racism, or is there another reading of the episode that stands out to you? Let us know. Give us your thoughts, your theories, your reactions, all the things. Let us know. Next week, we'll be back with Buffy's iconic episode Hush. And I have to say, as sad as I am to say goodbye to Doyle, I am excited to see what's coming next on Angel, as we were doing in Slayer at Predictions. There are some big changes on the horizon for Angel investigations, and I can't wait to revisit them with all of you and see Courtney's reaction to everything that's going to be unfolding as the show shifts. Again, because that's what I told you as a breadcrumb. I said that after this episode, the whole course of the series changes. So here we are. Until then, keep fighting the good fight. Keep your rats low, and try not to wait until the test comes to find out who you are. We'll talk to you all next time. Is that it? Are we done?
We're done.
If you need help, then look no further. Angel Investigations is the best. Our rats are low.
Rates.
It says rats. So, our rates are low, but our standards are high. When the chips are down and you're at the end of your rope, you need someone that you can count on. And that's what you'll find here. Someone who'll go all the way, who'll protect you no matter what. So don't lose hope. Come on over to our offices, and you'll see that there's still heroes in this world. Is that it? Am I done?
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Angel on Revamped. Be sure to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue the fight for redemption. We would love to hear from you, so share your thoughts and perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatch podcast, or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com.
And if you're interested in a world left behind, check out my show, Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast where I uncover the hidden mysteries of forgotten places, interview other explorers, and share with you my tips and tricks of the trade. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, remember, if nothing we do matters,
Then all that matters is what we do.
This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.